Okay, imagine this. What if the grenade launcher was suddenly erased from Team Fortress 2? Hard to believe now would it? What would you do? Would you cry in a fetal position? No, you would probably use the three other alternatives to the grenade launcher. That are the loose cannon, the latch and load, and the iron bomber. Problem is, what would be the best second alternative grenade launcher to use other than the default grenade launcher? It's pretty simple. There aren't any alternatives. Every grenade launcher has their own ups and downs, and each grenade launcher does their own job depending on the situation at that moment in time. And today we're going to be discussing how each of these grenade launchers outshine the default one, and how sometimes they don't. Does anyone remember when the only downside to the latch and load was that it had a smaller clip and the pills would shimmer on impact? Back when times were simpler. Well, back then, people used to debate how the latch and load was a straight upgrade to the default grenade launcher, displaying more damage, had a wider explosion radius, and had a faster pill travel speed than the default one. But now the latch and load was massively nerfed to where you no longer have that huge explosion radius, and your extra damage was now limited to sentries or other buildings. The latch and load today was turned into a sentry destroying machine, but for me personally, Valve stripped the gun to no longer be an all-purpose grenade launcher anymore, just like the default one we know today. However, the loose cannon is a little bit different. The loose cannon has an ability called Double Donk, and what it does is if you deal cannonball impact and explosive damage within half a second of each other, the explosive damage will deal mini crit damage. Sounds good so far, right? But it gets a little tricky. Whenever you hit someone with a cannonball, they will be pushed back. This means the loose cannon is only viable when you land your cannon shots correctly, because if you hit your target a little too far left or far right, they will be pushed back, and that push can ultimately save them from that double donk. And direct cannon shots without double donk at max can do 50 damage, and that's 50% less than the damage on the default grenade launcher. Okay, now let's start talking about the iron bomber. If the regular grenade launcher and the latch and load had a baby, it would basically be this weapon. It's similar to the grenade launcher in that it has the same clip size and displays the same base damage. How it compares to the latch and load is mainly just a matter of opinion on my part. The iron bomber's pills, once it touches the surface, will just basically stop where they are, and its downside is that it has a smaller blast radius once it touches the ground. Now before I discuss why it's similar to the latch and load, we need to talk about pyros for a second. We have all seen that pup star pyro, the degreaser, the flare gun, the power chuck one, you know, the demon spawn of TF2. Yes, those kind of pyros. Well, those kind of pyros know how to air blast well, and this is the part where the iron bomber shines. If you were using the regular grenade launcher, for example, those pills would have been air blasted immediately, endangering yourself and your fellow teammates. But with the iron bomber, if a pyro attempted to air blast those pills, they would stay where they are. So how is this good? Well, back to my latch and load comparison. Imagine you see a level 3 sentry, but darn it, you see the most professional pyro there is. He is on top of the leaderboard, he is a cool unusual as well, everything. And you see him guarding that sentry. Well, you start shooting your pills, projectiles at it, and the pyro's first reaction is to air blast it. But wait, he can't, because let me tell you that those balls weigh heavier than a whole team of heavies. And if you don't directly hit that sentry, the pills only need to be close enough to distribute massive damage to those buildings. Personally, I like using all the grenade launchers, because each of their attributes create different playstyles for the demo, which makes using him very more fun and interesting. So what do you guys like? Leave a comment below on which demo primary you prefer. I would love to see your guys' input, and I had plans to make sort of like a small series of this video, similar. So if you did like this, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more content every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. Love you guys to death. Now go out there and become the Scottish drunk we all know and love.